This
First
conference will now be recorded.
Thank you, Dave Wright. First up is Mike Alloy.
So just before Mike, just stand by just for 1 second, sir. So good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Pia. Today is December 14th, 2020. It is 6:45 p.m. And this is the public forum for the regularly scheduled Town of Stratford council meeting. I ask everyone to your comments to 3 minutes. And I believe Mike is up first.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mike.
Okay, good. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you, Margot, and thank you, council members, for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate it. My name is Michael Alloy. It's spelled A-L-O-I. I'm a resident of Stratford, and I'm currently the president of the Stratford Library Association. So I thought I'd pop in, introduce myself, and sort of give you a state of the library, so to speak. And hopefully, this will take under 2 minutes. But first, I'd like to say thank you. And thank you, council members, for your support over the years. We are just about complete with the children's room renovation, which, if you haven't seen it, it looks terrific. There's now more natural light coming in and new flooring, which really makes for a real welcoming space. We are also continuing with a large HVAC replacement, which is, as you know, terribly outdated, but we're getting there. And so, first and foremost, I wanted to say thank you. And thank you for your support over the years and continuing to care for the library. And it's been a real blessing for the community when we could all work together, the board, the council, and the mayor. Now, as for the past year, as you know, we had to close our library for a brief time, and we had to add additional PPE, we had to cut hours, and we still have no Sunday hours yet, and we have some evenings back, but we still have no in-person events, but we've been able to manage. And looking back, we were one of the early adapters in Connecticut to offer curbside pickup, so I'm really proud of that. Today our doors are open for in-person browsing, our computer lab is open, and our calendar is full of daily live Zoom events for young and old alike. Our online app, Libby, has online books available for those too sick or unable to come in person. And we still offer contactless curbside pickup by appointment. So as of the end of October, the month I have the most updated statistics, we had 11,216 items that were borrowed via curbside pickup. The library is coping with the coronavirus healing kit, has been distributed over 600 times, and downloads of music and books are up over 84%. Jobs and career websites were accessed more than 363 times. We had 489 online events attended by just over 7,000 patrons. So as you can see, members of the council, it gives me great pleasure to report to you that your Stratford Library is open and back in business. Now, of course, I can't take any of the thanks for this. That all belongs to our director, Sherry, and her staff. And Sherry has done a phenomenal job of navigating each new obstacle, communicating to the board and public, and reopening the library in a safe and healthy way. Now, one last additional comment. This is very important, and I'd be remiss in my duties as president if I didn't talk about our future. We are presently concerned that our building is inadequate in size. Now, if you've ever been to a Sunday afternoon lecture pre-pandemic when we could meet, you may have noticed how tight our meeting space is. Patrons could be strung around the aisles, sitting on the floor, or standing in a cramped corner. And if you've seen our You Create space, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The You Create space is our STEM lab. It's a hub of creativity. And sadly, that space is only a narrow aisle with a makeshift cubicle wall as a divider. And our teen department is right next to the main computer room, which is not ideal. As you know, what teen wants to hang out in earshot of adults on a computer? So as you can imagine, our space is just not keeping up with demand. Now, if we look at this, a quick look at the statistics from surrounding towns.
And Mike, not to interrupt you, if you could just wrap up, just because we did have the timer off. I just want to keep everyone to the same. Thank you.
So surrounding towns have a maximum capacity of 125 people. Our meeting room has only 80. Comparing the square footage, Stratford Library has a 0.68 square feet of library space available, while statewide the average is about 1.1. We would need an additional 22,000 of square feet to meet that average. Trumbull, Milford, Fairfield, West Haven all exceed the Stratford in square feet per capita. So in conclusion, we seek your assistance in funding in this upcoming budget process, an architectural study in 2021 to objectively evaluate our space concerns and develop a reasonable, cost-conscious plan to expand the library. As they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. We'd appreciate your help in getting this project off the ground. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Mike. And Mike, for the record, your address, please, sir.
My home address?
Yes, sir.
Is 300 Harvest Ridge Road. That's Harvest, Ridge, Ridge.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Margot, who do we have next?
Next is Karen Tracy.
Hi, Karen.
Hello, can you hear? Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, if you could just state your name, your address, ma'am, and again, we're trying to keep it to about 3 minutes, so thank you.
Sure thing. Karen Tracy, I live at 271 Castle Drive. Okay, so I joined the public forum last month, and I listened to the subsequent council. The comments that many people were making around Councilwoman Shake's resolution really resonated with me. And as I listened to the council members talk about the resolution that ended up being rewritten by the majority party, it occurred to me that the input from the public wasn't really considered when they put that together. Also, it had been 17 years, which was news to me, some 17 years, since the last resolution was put forth by the council. Given that it was so long ago, and it's such a difficult subject to put our heads around and try and find a solution to, I really feel that we should revisit the resolution that was adopted and come to some consensus with the public and with Councilwoman Shake's resolution in order to address the racism that we know is in our society and know is in our town. We can't ignore it. And I would really wish that we would go back to that resolution and find a solution that works for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Margot, next.
Next is Kathleen Callahan.
Hello, Kathleen.
Hi, Margot. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. If you could just state your name and your address, please.
Absolutely. My name is Kathleen Callahan. I also live at 271 Castle Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time. I am also calling to express my deep disappointment about the rejection of the resolution Councilwoman Shake put forth to declare racism as a public health crisis and the approval of a new resolution by the majority party. As I said last month, we have moved past talking about discrimination and diversity. And to suggest that the past resolution is more inclusive is offensive. The point of her resolution is that people of color, Black people, have been excluded to the point of serious negative impacts on their health, employment, housing, opportunity, freedom, and more. It is not meant to be inclusive, but to address racism, as defined by Webster's Dictionary as a belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Racism is a public health crisis, and one day this body, Stratford Town Council, will not only declare a resolution of such, but will provide funding, education, and training that reinforces this fact. It is unfortunate that this council has decided they do not want to be on the leading edge, one which is far too late as is. Racism does not exist in a vacuum. Public health is defined as the health of a population as a whole, especially as the subject of government regulation and support. Framing racism as a public health crisis is not just a matter of semantics. It allows communities, whether there is a known issue in our town currently or not, to address the broader crisis in the systemic ways that other threats to public health have been addressed over time. This includes strategic planning in policies, practices, and support services while empowering people and giving them a sense of agency. Without any shame intended, I believe that saying things like, I don't see color, I was raised a certain way, I have black or brown friends and family members, only deny people's identity, struggles, and concerns. They leave no room for discussion about the real impact systemic and structural racism has on members of our community. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Margot, next.
Barbara Heimlich.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara Heimlich, 91 College Street. I'm here tonight to raise three questions. The first one is, two of which are based around the CARES Act. The town of Stratford received $308,526. Of that, $270,000 was given out to small businesses for the micro enterprise assistance programs. I would like to know, is this information available to the public to see who in fact put in for it and who in fact received these grants? The second part of that public service amount of $308,526 went to the town of Stratford Senior Fresh Food Programs for $38,526. I'd like to know who got that contract and has that been carried out and is that being carried out? Lastly, several months ago, there was a presentation by the tax office and where they talked about new businesses and going on the tax rolls, etc. At that time, I believe it was Councilwoman Shake who asked for an accounting of just who was coming in town as well as who has left town. In other words, who is getting tax benefits or who is going on the tax rolls, opposed to who has left town and what position did they have in the tax rolls and what tax relief did they have. I have yet to read or hear anything regarding that information, and I would like it to be more transparent. I would also like to see that. And lastly, regarding the two previous people that spoke before me, I have been a part of, as has the mayor of Stratford and several other people in the town of Stratford, to the courageous conversations about implicit bias and racial discrimination. Through these conversations, it has become very clear to me that the town, as well as others who have participated, and over 400 people have signed up for it, that Stratford is not the squeaky clean place that we think it is. There is a lot of implicit bias and there is a lot of discrimination. And I'm hoping that something could be done for that we could move forward. I thank you for your time and I appreciate your listening to me.
Thank you, ma'am. Margot, who's next?
That was it.
Okay. Thank you all. Being that there's no other people signed up for the public forum, I will close this at 6:59 p.m. and we'll reconvene at 8 p.m. sharp for the town council meeting on this number.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Today is December 14th, 2020. It is 8:01 p.m. My name is Chris Pia, Chairman, Stratford Town Council, and we're going to begin this evening's meeting with an invocation and pledge of allegiance. I'm going to ask Councilor Carrillo, as it's his turn this time, to lead us in the invocation and pledge. Councilor Carrillo.
Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to come together this evening. Give us the wisdom to govern, help us meet the needs and the interest for the people of Stratford with confidence and respect. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Crowell. Before we move on, I'd like to just have a moment of silence as we've just come across an anniversary of the tragedy of Sandy Hook years ago, and want to have a moment of silence for everything that happened, to remember everybody, all the great people. Thank you all. Appreciate that. Okay, good to see everybody. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving, even being a little weird one this year. Hopefully you got to be peaceful and relaxing somewhat, and everyone had extra leftovers. We're gonna jump right into the agenda. Under communications, section 3, we have a letter of resignation. This was included in the pony for everybody for informational purposes only. A Frank Lucardo.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, you skipped item 1.
Yes, I did, Margot. Thank you very much. So I'll entertain. Thank you, Margot. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes from the regular scheduled meeting on November 9th.
So moved. Bill O'Brien.
Okay, Councilor O'Brien. Motion by Councilor O'Brien. Do I have a second to that?
Second by Dave Harden.
Okay, seconded by Harden. Councilor Harden, any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. As I was saying, section 3, we have a letter of resignation. Mr. Lucardo moved, so therefore vacated his spot. And I'm going to hand over section 3.2 for the monthly TAN report to our great finance director, Ms. Savo. Dawn? Hello, Dawn? Dawn, I can see you, but I can't hear you. I don't know if you're talking yet. I don't have any audio on you, Dawn. I can't hear you. Nope. You know what, Dawn? Mr. Timniak, do you want to jump in for this for a moment? But yeah, Dawn, when I can hear you, I'll make sure I acknowledge it. Mr. Timniak?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have the finance report
Gotcha.
with me right now. I'm sorry.
All right, no problem. We'll go back to Dawn. Just bear with us, everybody. Yeah, nothing coming out for audio, Dawn. I know I see you're trying. Okay, hang on. Margot, I think she's trying to call in, Margot. We'll give her a minute. Just bear with us. Thank you for everybody's patience. Yep, I saw it. Almost there. Caller 19.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you. Caller 19 is Margaret. Thank you, Dawn.
Okay, so on the report that I sent, you'll see at the end that we are cash positive, about $8 million, and that is after adding the new funds that we will be closing on later this week. And you'll see that in the 12-18 projection on the bottom the band and the bonds amount for 25,781 on the first page.
So, any questions for Dawn? Dawn, just we're getting a lot of feedback off of. I know you're doing your best. We're getting some feedback off yourself. Are there any questions for Dawn regarding for the TAN report? Okay. All right, Dawn. Thank you very much. Just hang with us. We'll probably have questions later on other items, but thank you very much. So stand by, okay? Excellent. Next item on the agenda, hand it over to Mayor's report. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Council Chair. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'll give you the COVID update. Currently, we have 2,353 cumulative cases and 95 deaths. That's since a year ago, March. With the COVID numbers increasing, we have closed town hall offices and are only open for appointment only, and that was effective November 30th. Additionally, staff are now staggered, alternating schedules between reporting in person and teleworking. While all offices will remain open and staffed, we encourage any residents who have business that can be transacted online or through email or over the phone to use those methods. Pop-up COVID testing, we are partnering with Yale New Haven Health and have testing on December 23rd and 30th from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at Benall High School Gym on Lorca Boulevard. As you may know or you may not know, both high schools are now in remote learning through January 4th as of today. If you have an insurance card, please bring it to these pop-up testing venues, and then also there is no cost for the test. In partnership with Community Health Center, Inc., there will be free COVID testing on Saturday, December 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Stratford High School on 245 King Street. You can register, we have it online and through the mayor's email that's going out 3 times a week, but you can register through www.chc1.com. Those residents who need other testing options are encouraged to go to 211ct.org or to find other regional testing opportunities. In Stratford at the Lorca Field, Murphy Medical is also testing on Mondays and Thursdays, drive-through 9 to 1. The town produced a PSA about mask wearing and social distancing, washing hands, and staying home if you're sick. More than 5,000 reaches on Facebook and 2,500 on YouTube were viewed. We still remain at the red level, according to the state's color-coded weekly COVID alert map. We, along with another 163 towns and cities of the 165, are in the red level. Currently, we're at 49.2 cases per 100,000, and that time period was from November 22nd through 12/5. GFOA, which is Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, has awarded a Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting to the town of Stratford for its comprehensive annual financial report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019. The report has been an impartial panel to meet the high standards of this program, which includes demonstrating constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial and motivational potential users and user groups to read the report. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in this area of government, accounting, and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by the government and its management. In November, the town administration had rating calls with S&P Global and Moody's Investor Service. Based on our consistent management, Moody's kept our rating the same, and S&P revised its outlook to stable from negative on Stratford's general obligation GO debt outstanding and affirmed its rating on the debt. At this time, we are assigned our AA- long-term towns rating issue for the 2020 Series A GO bonds and Series B GO refunding bonds. Additionally, we are assigned an SP -1+ short-term rating for the town's issue of the 2020 Series B GO bond anticipation notes, which are also called bands. The outlook, where applicable, is stable. The stable outlook reflects that the management team has stabilized the town finances and is working to rebuild the fund balance extended through fiscal 2018. The town went out for bond sale and issued, I'm going to round it up a little bit so I don't go through the decimals, but it's 11.9 million 20-year new money bonds at a cost of 1.99%. Issued 13.8 million of one-year notes at a cost of 0.49%. Tax-exempt current refunding refinanced 19.9 million of old debt, which cost the town 3.06, and replaced it with a debt that cost 1.12%, saving taxpayers 1.7 million. Refinanced 3.1 million of the 2013 POBs, which cost the town 5.673% and is down to 1.72%, saving taxpayers 4.7 million. Refinanced 29.6 million of outstanding bonds, which cost the town 4.34% and is down to 1.84%, saving taxpayers 2.8 million. The entire refunding of the 88.6 million bonds cost the town at 1.68% versus the 4.77% it was paying, saving taxpayers a combined 9.1 million. Refinancing created 3 million of budgetary relief in fiscal year 2022, 2.7 million each for 2023 and 2024, another $560,000 in fiscal year 2025. And we will send this out to all the council with all the notes from the bond sale and the notes from S&P and Moody's from our rating calls. Have some economic development updates for you. Connecticut Cares Small Business Grant. This program is acting as a bridge until another federal stimulus package is passed. Qualifications are 20 or less employees or less than 1.5 million in payroll. The total funding available is 50 million, so qualifying businesses receive 5,000 per business. 50% is being allowed to distressed communities. DECD is currently in review of the 10,000 qualified businesses, and DECD is telling businesses to monitor their email and spam for notifications. $5,000 will be awarded prior to the end of the year. The CDBG, which some of you have been very involved in, is the Micro Enterprise Grant. 2 rounds of funding through the Stratford Town's Community Block Grant, CDBG CV allocation. The first round, thank you for the subcommittee and the council for approving the reallocation of the $32,327, and that will be awarded to grants of up to $2,500 to businesses as they prepare for, prevent, and respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Applications are now open and being accepted on a rolling basis until the funding has been exhausted. The second round of funding includes $270,000 and will provide grants of up to $2,500 to the program participants or up to $5,000 to new participants. Funding under the second round will be available after the council, if the council chooses to approve it this evening. To date, 28 businesses have applied for the grant. The Economic and Community Development Office has created a Q&A fact sheet to distribute to all applicants. Center School property. There are 2 informal proposals will be presented to the RDA at their January meeting. Listening to the various proposals will aid in putting together the next RFP for the site. The Army Engine Plant. The Army and DEEP have stated as of a few days ago that both the stewardship permit and the record of decision will be completed prior to the end of the year. The Shakespeare property, the subcommittee presented their report to RDA at a special meeting on December 3rd. They did a wonderful job presenting different sizes and types of venues along with multiple business plans. The RDA will reconvene conversation at the next RDA meeting in January. Complete Streets. The meetings have been held with town staff, Complete Streets Committee, and the Technical Advisory Group, which is part of the town's local traffic authority, LTA, and has reviewed the 30% design phase for Main Street. They've suggested minor changes to the bike lane near the fire department, which the consultant is taking care of now. Essentially, they want us to end the on-road bike lane near the fire department. This eliminates any changes to the road network from the fire department to the Barnum Avenue intersection. The consultant mentioned that he would indicate sharrows, bike signage with arrows, on the road from the road to measure on the road from the fire department until Barnum Avenue, since DOT wants us to show and indicate some road measures undertaken for those bicyclists who choose to ride in traffic. The consultants are making minor changes right now, and after they are done, they will be shared with the LTA members. They will then provide an official letter of approval, which will be sent to DOT. Hopefully this will be done next week. If not next week, when the LT meets, it'll be the following month. 495 Lorca Boulevard was the site of the old mobile chemical plant. The demolition and remediation are completed. GFI, the owner, will be submitting a building permit and plans to DEEP before the end of the year. Marketing to lease the 360,000 square foot building will begin in earnest after the first of the year. Small Business Saturday, Economic and Community Development Office sent out a short 4-question survey to small businesses prior to the Small Business Saturday to find out who would like to participate in order to streamline our marketing efforts. The responses allowed the Economic Office to create marketing tools to promote participation in not only Small Business Saturday, but the entire holiday season. Howard Aspinwall and Mellow Monkey has been doing yeoman's work in advertising business specials through the season. Please check out his site when you get a chance. What Howard has done, which is really interesting to me, is he's been promoting other restaurants by allowing anyone on his site to purchase restaurant gift certificates for those restaurants. So it's very, very convenient. On 91 Wood Avenue, you know, we have some town-owned property there. Our town attorney is in the midst of submitting an 824 review to the Planning and Zoning Commission and looking into the town's intent to abandon the paper road. Once this is approved, the town will offer the piece of property after, you know, you all have to agree to do the abandonment. But they will offer property to the adjacent property owners, and those that don't accept, we will pull the lots together and see if we can have possibly 3 building lots. I think, Greg, you asked some questions about Brixmore property and the prospect of the town using it to connect to the railroad station. That's a possibility, but at this point, we've approached Brixmore several times and they have not acted. Not to say that they wouldn't now, but right now they're just using it, this property, for Halloween or a haunted house. We have some new, well, as we go through the infrastructure improvements, exit 32 is one of them. There are some release of properties on West Broad, and there may be some potential interest in using in either the Hudson Paper site or the Ross and Roberts site, which is on the back part of West Broad near the bottle redemption. Also on the infrastructure projects, if you've gone up Nichols Avenue, you see that there's quite a bit of activity and a lot of people getting stuck at lights. I think it's temporary though, at Nichols and Hawley Lane. And also 110 has been developed beautifully, and there doesn't seem to be any problems there. As exit 33 is moving along, and we think that, well, we're hopefully expecting its completion by the end of next summer, but I also said that about exit 32, and we're in the winter, so we'll have to see how things go. I wanted Mike to share with you, Mike Downs, to share with you all about a ransom attack that we had on our software and our infrastructure that happened on Friday. Mike, are you on?
Yes, I am, Mayor. Thank you, and good evening, Council. Just by way to update you, at about 9:45 in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday, December 11th, we were made aware of a crypto lock virus that infected the town's servers. It was estimated that about 50 to 60% of the town's servers were infected. Our IT team, along with our vendor Flagship, immediately took action, and the server connections were severed to isolate the infection and prevent the attack from accomplishing its end goal, which would be to lock us out of our own data and ransom it back to us. This did prevent the town from conducting business through which these connections would be necessary through Friday. However, the new email system through Exchange Online continued to be operational so long as town employees had a way to access the internet. We sought to restore the servers from a snapshot prior to the infection and began the process of restoring the servers while running Sophos and Huntress, two virus removal tools, to ensure restored servers were free of infection. We began that process Friday with a priority on restoring police, EMS, and dispatch, which were all returned to full functionality by 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. The work continued over the weekend, analyzing, cleaning servers to get them back in service with a priority toward preserving evidence, as this is a criminal attack that involves our own police investigation by the Detective Bureau and presumably the state police and likely the FBI. By this morning, at the start of the workday, all departments had been restored to server access. New passwords were initiated for all users to ensure any compromised ones would be rendered unusable by the attackers. The remaining work on updating PCs with Sophos was expected to be completed today. The only data loss we experienced as a result of restoring to our previous snapshot was data that was input between 2 a.m. Friday morning and 10 a.m. Friday morning. Most of this data loss was in the tax collector's office, tax assessor's office, and town clerk's office, but their work was isolated from Friday morning, and they've been able to re-input that work once our systems were restored. With the new installation of Sophos, we're far more secure than at the onset of this attack, and we await further details on how the attack entered our system and if any information might have been compromised following the Penzic forensic examination. I'd like to extend personal gratitude to our IT team, David Wright, Tom Eccles, and Richard Hatcher, who worked continuously from Friday morning all the way through the weekend to ensure that our system was protected and to minimize the impact on all our staff and end users, and who continue to work on the ancillary outstanding items associated with it. I also want to extend our thanks to Matt Zinzi, Greg Clark, Mike Egmont, Scott Perry, and the whole team over at Flagship, who responded very quickly and professionally, working alongside our team to ensure full and quick restoration and recovery. That is my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mike, and kudos to you and your team for doing your very best to get us back up and operational and protect us going forward. We had some recent holiday events. I also wanted to give kudos out to the Public Works Department for decorating all the buildings throughout town. We have a variety of photo opportunities since most people aren't going to see Santa with their children, but you can go to Juliet Low and get your picture taken at the pavilion with a lighthouse, or you can go to Town Hall where there's an archway in front of the tree. And then at Paradise Green, there's also a photo frame there for photos. So it's really quite festive. The Beautification Committee, Councilor Dancho and your committee did a really, really nice job of decorating the town buildings with wreaths and bows and the gazebo at Paradise Green. As you know, we had the holiday tree lighting on December 1st. It was, I would say, well attended for a pandemic event, and it was also, shared on Facebook Live. And then tonight we had the menorah lighting with Rabbi Joseph Stock of Michigan Israel Day Camp, and he if you haven't seen it, it's quite a sight. He has built a menorah out of a pipe, and he uses road flares as the candles, and it's quite tall. It's probably, I don't know, about 8 feet tall, and sets ablaze. I'm surprised the fire department wasn't there, but that happened tonight. It was also on Facebook. We've had some business openings. Lordship Corner Market. We joined the Lordship Corner Market for a ribbon cutting on November 12th. It's very popular. People call it the center of town, not just the center of Lordship, it's the center of town. And owners are Moria Baird and her brother Tim Jacobson and Carrie Rooney. And the market offers delicious daily specials for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, including homemade soups and boutique sandwiches named after Lordship streets. For example, the Victoria Lawn sandwich features turkey, apple stuffing with homemade cranberry mayonnaise and artisanal bread. Sounds like Thanksgiving on a roll to me. The Lordship Corner Market is open daily from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and it's located on 350 Stratford Road. And earlier last week, we had a ribbon cutting at the Surfside Motel, which is the 29-room motel occupied. It was owned by the previous owner was, now why can't I remember the name? Marnix. And the rooms are beautifully appointed and many of them have balconies with waterfront views. Doug Grabe has done a phenomenal job renovating the restaurant and the hotel, and it's becoming quite a destination in Stratford. As you're aware, because we sent the notice to you, Tammy Trojanowski has been promoted to the Director of Community and Senior Services. We're really encouraged by Tammy's service to the town of 34 years. She's speaking for all of us, and we wish her success. I also would like to let you know that I have reappointed the following people to the Architectural Review Board: Shannon Hoven, John Zabel, Steve Law, Jamie Millward, and Tom Sarkowitz. I'm also recommending that the council appoint Ed Bitsko to the Roosevelt Forest Commission. And then in observance for the upcoming holidays, on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, we will be closing the town hall at 2:30. And with the exception of the town clerk, that will be closed at 2 on those days. And then town offices will be closed on Christmas Day, which is Friday, December 25th, and New Year's Day, which is January 1st. And if I don't see you, I'd like to wish you all a very, very happy and safe December and holiday season. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Questions for the mayor? Questions for the mayor? Paul Severa, I see you, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. How are you?
Good evening, Paul. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thank you for keeping up with the COVID test. I was in touch with Optimus, and they have stopped doing their outdoor testing now because of the weather, but they will resume again in the spring, and I'll be sure to let you know. My second question is most likely for the new Public Works Administrator, but I just want to know if our guys are ready and prepared for this forecast of a storm coming this way.
They are, Paul. As I heard it this morning and was texting Renee and said, "Are you all set? Is the gear all done?" Yep. So they have plenty of material, sand, salt, etc. All their trucks are up and running. Their staff, knock on wood, right now is all healthy. So yes.
And when was the last day of the leaf pickup? Are we still going through the rest of this month? Because folks are still leaving their stuff out. I want to let them know, whether it's going to be picked up or whether they missed the window.
So my husband and I just had a discussion, air quotes, with that on Sunday. He had hurt his back and he was out raking leaves, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, this is the last day," and I said, "Actually, the last day is the 21st of December."
Well, my machine just went blank, so I'm gonna have to get out there myself. So I feel his pain. I wish him well.
Yeah, thanks. I'll share that with him.
Thank you, Paul. Any other questions for the mayor?
Chris?
I'll ask. Go ahead, Greg. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Chris. Mayor Hoydick, just a clarification on the bond reissue. I was looking at the current year budget, and our interest is projected to be about $7.1 million. And if that was to remain consistent for the upcoming year, I think you mentioned an avoidance of $2 million maybe for 2022. You did say a more formal, if you will, accounting will be shared, but that's a pretty substantial decrease from 7 to say 5 million. And
$3 million monetary relief in fiscal year 2022.
Congratulations to the administration and town finance for making that happen.
Thank you, Greg.
Mike and Chris are on the line if you'd like to add anything else to that, as they were very, very involved in this, and recognition needs to go out to both of them as well.
Agreed. Go ahead, Mr.
Just,
Timothy.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, Greg, we look forward to getting out the formal recap of everything which occurred, but there were many different individual bond sales we have, and the total numbers for each one of them. There's a breakdown of how much we're saving over the years till maturity. So some of the numbers equate to, $2 million over the next 12 years for that specific breakout of that. You'll see it all in the final breakdown when we get it out there. Way more details to come on it, so you can really sink your teeth into it. And I'm happy to have anybody else further explain it if you have any questions.
Yeah, the year over year versus the 20-year number will be interesting to see.
And just for all the council members, the timing of the bond sale was really beneficial to the town, as the only other bond, Connecticut bond going out last week in that 2 to 3 day period, that window which was open, was the University of Connecticut. And with the great news by Moody's and S&P they had with our bond rating, the town really was primed to strike, and we got great rates moving forward. So it was well timed. So kudos to everybody who worked on that transaction. It's going to benefit the taxpayers for many years to come.
Thank you, Mr. Timniak. Madam Mayor, if I may, and through you to Mr. Downs, just a question on the security hack. Sure. Mike, that's something that was similar that I believe that it was major news over the summertime. I believe the city of Baltimore got completely locked out. Is that somewhat similar to essentially what they were going down the road to her? Because that crippled, I remember, the city's infrastructure for a number of weeks, right?
Yeah, and I can't say whether it's the same group. I don't remember I remember the news story, but it was a while ago when I saw it. But that's the intent of what we were hit with, which uses the same technology. The goal is to try to get inside of our system, usually at some weak access point, and move laterally through the system until it gets control of everything it wants, and then lock us out of our own system. Okay. And then try to extract money from the entity that they're attacking to ransom back our own data back to us. So that failed. But now we just have to kind of evaluate what else is out there in terms of possible data breach. But we'll have a forensic report on that.
I was just going to ask you, and I mean, I know over the last couple budget cycles, we've been really spending some money on upgrading tech and IT. So I know. I was just going to ask you, is there going to be a follow-up report? There is basically almost like a hit list of things we could further look to over the next couple budgets to further enhance it. So thank you to your staff and to all the everybody that worked on it over the weekend. I know that stuff's scary.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Questions for them? Any other questions for the mayor? Caitlin, I have you. You're on mute. Gotcha.
Hi, good evening. Madam Mayor, I guess through you to Dawn Sabo, back in October, I think I had asked for the past 2 fiscal years, the grand list for commercial properties of who had been added and who is no longer with us. So I was just wondering if there was any update or any report that was going to be generated and then disclosed to us. I don't know if she can hear me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I logged off and logged back on. Caitlin, I misunderstood your question. I actually thought you were talking about currently. I didn't realize it was the past 2 years. So currently I had done some investigation into how we could figure that out through maybe what the town clerk information they had, and they were, kind of preoccupied with the voting at that point. And then I had found out that they really have no specific way of tracking that, but our grand list won't be ready until January 31st. And so I would be able to give current numbers then, but I didn't realize you wanted the last 2 years, and I can certainly get that. the previous 2 years to you. Yes.
Thank you.
I misunderstood. I thought you were looking like what was currently going on due to pandemic. So I misunderstood.
So just to clarify, I'm glad that we're talking about this so we can get the requested information properly. It would be the current going back 2 fiscal years. So if that has to be generated for January, like you had just shared, then that would probably make the most sense. If you're able to send out the past 2 fiscal years and then January 31st, we have that list and then compare, that would be helpful too. Whichever is, easiest.
Sure, I can have, oh, sorry, Mayor.
No, that's okay. So Councilwoman, just so I can understand this, you're not interested in the gross number of grand list increase because we already have that and have shared that with you. You are interested in those who have come off the tax rolls or those whose assessments have increased or decreased. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I think it'll take us a little while to pull that together, but we can do that and then share it with the entire town council.
Thank you. And thank you also, Mayor and Mike and everyone that's, our health department for coordinating and partnering with so many health networks. I saw recently that they had also added Griffith Health just as a PSA, being in Trumbull on Tuesdays for people to go for COVID testing also. So it's great to see that we have so many partners, not just within the town, but adjacent to, for people to essentially get tested.
Councilwoman, you'll also be happy, and Paul, I know you will be too. We had a meeting today led by our health director and all the regional teams on vaccinations. And it was really very heartwarming to see everybody working together. There was, lockstep. Since Monroe really doesn't have a testing facility, they'll use Trumbull's. We have a couple testing facilities, and we will definitely be working on all of this together to make sure that we can get vaccinations out to everybody who wants them.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the mayor? Okay. Madam Mayor, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, 4.3.1, the Building Needs Committee. I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Poisson.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4.3.1.
Motion to approve item 4.3.1 by Mr. Poisson. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second, Bill O'Brien.
Second by Councilor O'Brien. Okay. Any discussion on this? This was, I know, one of the last items for on the Stratford High project in the building need minutes. Any further discussion on this item before we vote on it?
Chris, just to clarify, this was one of the last move management items. This was all the move management that went over the summer as we moved into the phase 2 of where the old building was.
Gotcha. Thank you, Ken, for that clarity. I know one of the things we all know Stratford High in the property has come out amazing, both in and out. And we were trying to put together a couple pictures tonight. I don't know if we had Stratford, and if not, we'll make sure we get it for next month. But
I think we have it. I think we have a Stratford High one. Yes, I think Margot has it.
Nope, Margot, that's the wrong one.
No.
Close enough. So what you're looking at is that came out great.
Just
right.
give me a second here. I don't know how to get to the next one. All right, wait. Nope. Shoot.
That's all right.
Wait. I have Stratford High here somewhere.
All right. We're gonna have to see everything in your inbox now.
Oh my God. See, this is what happens when you wait till the last minute. Yeah, now I can't bring it up.
All right, why don't let's finish go back to the regular screen. Cancel that shared screen for a minute, please.
Oh my God. Why is it not letting me go back? Help.
Just X out of
Okay. All right, there we go.
So any other further discussion on this line item? On this item? Okay, hearing none, we'll call it to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is item 4.3.2. I'll take a motion to approve.
Laura D'Angelo, motion to approve item 4.3.2.
Okay, Ms.
I'll
D'Angelo.
second.
Thank you. A motion by Ms. D'Angelo, seconded by Councilor Poisson. So we just saw the Bunnell Field, and basically that's what this one of the line items here is for Bunnell. I mean, if you haven't seen it in person yet, go take 60 seconds, do a drive-by. I mean, that thing looks amazing. And thank you to everybody who's worked on this. There's been a lot of people. So any further discussion on this?
Do you want me to try again to bring those up?
No, that's
Or
okay.
no?
We got a quick look at it. We'll get the pictures emailed to the council.
Okay, hope you didn't blink.
Any other further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda, item 4.4 under Town Attorney's Report. So we have three items here, 4.1, 4.4.1, 2, and 3. What we're going to do, as each of them do require executive session, as you might remember, we've only gone into executive session, I believe, once during the COVID times. So we're from a tech standpoint, obviously we have a few of the town attorneys on. Mr. Town Attorney Leclerc, I'll need a motion from the floor to enter into executive session for items 4.4.1, 2, 3, and have that motion state the people going in. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. It should note that you're going in for the first two items, 4.4.1 and 4.4.2, to discuss pending legal matters. 4.2.3, real estate negotiations. That is an executive session, as discussion in the public may adversely affect the price. So those are the reasons for going into executive session, which should be noted in the motion by the movement.
Excellent. So I'll entertain, per Mr. Town Attorney Leclerc, I'll entertain that motion to go in, please.
I have a question
Sure.
for the attorney.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm a energy consultant with Sunrun, and I get paid through them through providing solar. Is this going to present a conflict of interest where I have to recuse myself?
You might have to. You can hear from Ben Proto, and then you may choose not to vote. Since
if I may, Mr. Chairman, it's Attorney Proto.
Mr.
Sunrun will be a topic of conversation. As such, I think it would be best, and I'll leave that up to the council, if Mr. Tavares does not participate.
So Mr. Proto, so I'm clear, when you say not participate, he should not enter into executive session for that item. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct, and I would suggest he should also not vote on it, as it may have a direct financial impact, not a direct financial impact on Mr. Tavares, but clearly on the company he works for.
So then what would I do with this? What would I
Paul,
do with...
do you have any?
Go ahead,
I'm sorry?
Mr. Hodgson. Mr. Hodgson, go ahead. Hold on one second.
Councilman Tavares, do you have any objection to that?
No objection.
Well,
but I am in possession of this. So I mean, what happens with that?
That's a good point.
What you should be in possession of, Paul, does not indicate what the resolutions are. I think what you have only indicates what is a matter of public record at this point.
All right, so I will. What, Margot? Are you gonna go ahead and X me out, and then somebody will let me know when the session is over?
Yes, we can do that, Paul. We'll make sure of it, and that's fine. So Margot, so first off, all right, before we move on, we still need a motion to enter in per Town Attorney Leclerc. Someone like to make that?
Yeah, so moved, Chris, as stated, and this is Bill O'Brien.
Okay, Mr. Bryan, we do need to have you identify the individuals, which would be obviously the council and the administration, please. Or we could,
Okay, this would include all council members except Paul Tavares, although he can come in for the second two items, right?
That is correct.
That's Benjamin Proto, I guess Brian Leclerc, Chris Hodgson, Chris Himniak,
John Florek.
Mayor Hoydick, John Florek,
Bruce Jackson.
and Bruce Jackson. And I think I got everybody.
and we'll probably need Mike Downs in there as well.
And Mike Downs.
All right. So motion by Councilor O'Brien. Do I have a second to that motion?
This is Laura Dancho, and I'll second.
Okay, second to that. Any discussion on it? Well, I will make sure when we'll get you back for the next one.
All right, phone's on.
Okay, can I interrupt for 1 second? It's Margot.
Go ahead,
So
Margot.
everybody who is not participating in the executive session is going to be dismissed. Paul, is right after you're dismissed, give it a minute, click the link again to enter. The meeting will be locked. You'll be left in a queue until you can re-enter. Same thing for the public. That's gonna get a little.
Can I make a suggestion? My suggestion would be that we allow Councilor Tavares to join the first section and then and discuss the first two items.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Hold on, I need to.
Hold on, time out, everybody. Mr. Keniak, I need you to mute your phone, please, sir. Thank you.
I just muted him. Okay, Mike, I'm sorry. One more time.
Sure. My suggestion was just what I think might streamline this a little bit. If we allow Councilor Tavares to come into the executive session, do the other two items that he's allowed to participate in, and then have him leave the session for the discussion of the third, then he can be readmitted with the rest of the public after.
That makes sense.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Mr. Pia, it's Brian Leclerc. Before you vote, just to make it abundantly clear to the public, any member of the public who is not part of the group going into executive session will be disconnected from this town council meeting. You need only wait a few seconds. You can then call back in. You'll be put in what we call a waiting room, where you will remain until we come out of executive session. Once the body comes out, you will be put back into the meeting for the public session, just so the public fully understands that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Leclerc. And to the point raised by Mr. Downs, when we go into executive session to discuss the three items, we can talk about items point 1 and point 2 first, and then we will have Mr. Tavares exit before item point 3. Is that okay?
No, he will be there. The solar settlement is 4.4.1. We will discuss out of order 4.4.2, 4.4.3, and then dismiss Mr. Tavares, and then go to 4.4.1, the solar settlement. And then when we come out of executive, we can note on the record what happened.
That's fine. Just wanted to be clear. Yep. Okay. So any other further discussion on before we vote to go into? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. We'll go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, can you give me just a minute to dismiss everyone? It'll take a second. I have to do them one by one.
Go ahead, Mr. Wright.
Night, night.
Stand by, everybody. We still have Miss Sarah and Miss Savo on.
Got it.
Almost there.
Are we there?
I believe we are there. Mr. Leclerc, does that look good to you? I believe it is. We have all the counselors and we have Mayor Riddick, Downs, Timniak, and hold on, where's Chris Timniak? He's right there, I'm sorry. And we have the 4 attorneys. All right.
I'm
So
going to exit the meeting.
All right.
Excellent. So I believe we're in executive session. I'm going to hand over the initial part of this to Town Attorney Leclerc.
This
Make sure Margot
conference
is
will
back
now
as
be
well, Mr.
recorded.
Chairman. Is Margot back?
Miss-
Leclerc?
I don't see Margot yet, Mike. Yes, now I'm here.
Nope, I started the recording though for you. She's back.
All right. Is Dave Wright back on?
I'm back, but not as an organizer. I lost all the controls. I don't know why.
Mike may have the controls.
I texted Dave Wright. Is he back?
I don't see
texted
him.
him too. I don't see him yet.
Stand by.
Margot, looks like you're an organizer now.
Wow, this is a really weird interface that I have.
All right, hang on. Any update from Dave, Margot?
Yeah, he just texted. He's saying he can't get back in. I had trouble getting back in also.
All right. Margot, your text notification sounds very loud.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Let me, wait, I don't even know where my mute is.
God love Margot.
Mike, can you text, she said Dave's having trouble getting in, she said that, okay.
Yeah, he texted me too. The meeting is unlocked and obviously everyone else was able to get back in. I'm not sure what the issue is. I'll work on that with him, but I don't see why it should waylay you from proceeding with the remaining business you have.
I was just gonna say, between you and Margot, you have the controls anyway, and we're back on recording, so we should be good anyway. Okay. All right, we're gonna continue on. So I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session, please.
This is Laura Dancho, motion to approve coming out of executive session.
Okay, motion by Ms. Dancer. Do I have a second for that?
Second, Bill O'Brien.
Second by Mr. O'Brien. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 I vote aye. Motion passes 10-0. So we're back in session, out of executive session.
Mr. Chairman, it's Brian Leclerc. I just want to note for the record that Councilman Tavares exited executive session at 9:18 p.m. immediately prior to discussion of the solar settlement item.
Excellent. Thank you, Attorney Leclerc, for the record. So I will entertain a motion for item 4.4.1.
Mr. Chairman, this is Laura Dancho, and I motion to approve the resolution of item 4.4.1 as discussed with the town attorney in executive session.
A motion to approve. Do I have a second to that motion by Ms. Dancho?
Second by Dave Harden.
Seconded by Councilor Harden. Any discussion? There will not be, as we discussed in executive session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed?
And this is what, one abstain?
Yep. So any opposed? No opposed, and it'll be Mr. Tavares to abstain, right? As he wasn't in. No problem. For the record. Thank you, sir. Next item is item 4.4.2, being there was nothing. It was just an update. There's nothing to be voted on. 4.2.3. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I would like to make the motion to go forth with the recommendation authorizing the mayor to go forth with the properly discussed in executive session.
Excellent. Motion by Councilor Harden. Do I have a second to that? Councilor Taveras, I have you there. No problem. No discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Thank you all. Next item on the agenda, item 6.1.1. Entertain a motion to approve.
If I may, Chair, make the motion to approve.
Councilor Harden, yes, sir. Do I have a second to that?
Bill Perillo, second.
Seconded by Councilor Perillo. Discussion. So this is Mr. Timniak. Madam Mayor, if you'd just like to give a brief description of this resolution, if you don't mind, under the CARES Act.
Council Chair and any of the subcommittees, you can correct me if I'm misspeaking, but this is to authorize CDBG CV funding to address the COVID pandemic. And I think this is the amount for $361,725. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I believe that's correct.
Yep.
And as I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I just want to say some of the topics that I discussed in the mayor's report were already approved by the subcommittee, authorizing grants to businesses, etc. But this is what this whole pool of money is to support the community as we are clawing our way out of this pandemic.
Agreed. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any other discussion on this?
Mr. Chairman, Bill O'Brien.
Mr. O'Brien.
I just want to point out that the 38,526 is distributed through Sterling House for the seniors either through delivery or pickup. I know that question was raised earlier tonight, so I wanted to point that out.
Got to see that, Mr. O'Brien. Thank you on page 3. Yep. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll call this item for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is item 6.1.2. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, Bill O'Brien.
Mr. O'Brien.
I move a resolution creating an education reserve fund.
Okay, motion by Mr. O'Brien. Do I have a second for that?
Second by Dave Harden.
Seconded by Councilor Harden. Discussion. So for those open it up for discussion. I'm gonna actually hand it over to Town Attorney Leclerc just to give us a brief understanding of how we arrived at this.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian Leclerc from the Town Attorney's Office. This resolution, and there's an ordinance which follows it, both have the same topic. That allows unexpended funds from a prior fiscal year that had been allocated for the Board of Education to be deposited into a non-lapsing account to be used for future education purposes. Right now, there's a maximum of 2% of such funds from the prior year, and that's under, this is in accordance and under 10248A of the Connecticut General Statutes, the statute that specifically authorizes this now. And for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2020, it is a maximum of that 2% of the total budgeted appropriation for education for the prior year. So the resolution is virtually identical to the ordinance, except the resolution is only for the unexpended funds for fiscal year 20, which, as you know, ended June 30, 2020. The ordinance is for future fiscal years. Because by the time the ordinance is passed, after the ordinance committee and another council meeting, it may be a ways down the road. So we wanted the resolution now to have it in effect to deal with the excess money from the prior fiscal year 20. The only other change is between the two, the resolution allows for a maximum of 2%, while the ordinance does not specify a percentage. It just talks about 2% or such other percentage as authorized by the state legislature. So in the event should they change the percentage in the future, we don't have to come back and keep changing the ordinance.
Excellent. Thank you for that description, Mr. Leclerc. Any discussion or questions on the item?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep, go ahead, Paul.
I don't know if this is for Attorney Leclerc or Mr. Timniak, but I was just looking at item number 3 on this on a resolution. Is this a one-way conduit for funds? It could go from the general fund into this education reserve fund, and is my understanding it's supposed to stay there. It doesn't come back out of the fund to fund any litigation or anything else. It's specifically one way for the education reserve fund.
Mr. Tavares, it's Brian Leclerc. Under paragraph 1, it speaks of what the fund is to be used for, and it's for non-recurring expenses such as capital, technology, or other unanticipated special education expenditure funding needs. So I don't know what you mean by one. It doesn't just stay in the fund.
Yeah,
it comes back to the board.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, Councilman Tavares, the purpose of the resolution is to make sure that there's some controls on the money which is given back to the Board of Education. So if there's any unspent money at the end of the year per the auditors, when the auditors are done conducting the audit for the BOE, that money, if it's less than 2%, could go back to the Board of Education. This resolution will basically, I don't want to say mandate, but put in place provisions that only the money can be spent on non-reoccurring items. So they wouldn't be able to take this money and plug it into the operating budget. So if you're looking at your budget surplus, or you're running a surplus at the beginning of, when you're doing next year's budget, you wouldn't say, hey, I'm anticipating $700,000 to $900,000 from last year, which is going to carry over, and you just plug it in there. This would be so the town council could turn around and say, yes, we can give you the money back. You can plan on us giving the money back, but with these protocols in place for it.
Madam Mayor, do you want to just add in? I saw your hand.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Councilman, I didn't realize how the money moved previous to becoming mayor, but the Board of Ed, or the Stratford Public Schools, so you, the town council, set their budget. We'll just use a rough number of $110 million. Then what happens is the Stratford Public Schools requests portions of that 110 to be transferred over into their accounts. So they may ask for 50 million right up front for all salaries, and then they encumber. So what this is saying is there's a balance left from that fiscal year that they didn't expend. They're trying to encumber it. And so this non-lapsing account means it's kind of held in escrow for them to use as they need it for those items in paragraph 1 that say what they can use it for. So it was as clear as mud to me in the beginning, and after, so that's why I learned it. So I figured I would just share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Paul. Any other discussion on the item? No? Okay, hearing none, we'll call the item for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is item 6.2.1.
This is Laura Dancho, and I motion on item 6.2.1, an ordinance creating an education reserve fund, and that the first reading of the ordinance be and is hereby dispensed with, as copies have been previously furnished to each member of the town council, and that the same be adopted as a first reading and referred to the ordinance committee for a public hearing.
Excellent. Thank you. Motion by Ms. Dancho. Do I have a second to that motion?
Bill Perillo, second.
Bill Perillo. Thank you, Councilor. Any discussion? As Attorney Leclerc just kind of stated, he pointed out just a couple minor little changes, which makes sense. Any other further discussion on it, as it's being mostly the same? And we're just going to be, for the clarity, we're sending, this vote is to send this to ordinance committee for the process.
Mm-hmm.
Chris,
yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Just from anybody, the question is, how often has say over the last 6 or 8, 10 years, the Board of Education ended the year with a meaningful surplus? That their typical practice is they will buy the computers, they will do financial transfers in May and June at the end of the year to try and avoid a surplus. Now, maybe last year was the first time ever that they had a surplus, but I wanted to, this reserve fund does not prevent them from trying to avoid a surplus. And
So, Greg, your question is,
was there any thoughts? The question is, were there any thoughts to try and mitigate their, quote, need to spend it down at the end of the year? Or does this by itself give them that freedom to not feel that they have to spend it down quickly at the end of the year?
Mr. Timniak, would you like to comment, answer Mr. Cans? I don't know if you have the answer right now, but if you'd like to add in.
I mean, I would say that there has been meaningful surpluses from the Board of Education in the past. Usually the auditors will find an area, well, they have in the last couple of years, they found an area where, there was an incident where they had paid the healthcare for 13 months versus 12 months. I had a low battery here. So they do find it, Greg, or Councilman Can, in the spirit of hiring good people to do good work, you would hope that they're not deliberately spending down the accounts and are happy to turn over extra money to the town saying, thank you. We had a surplus this year because of great operating standards which have been put in place by management. That's the hope.
Okay.
Any other? Sorry, Greg.
No, I'm done. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, no problem. There's just a slight delay when you talk, when people talk. Wasn't trying to cut you off. Any other discussion on the item? No? Okay, excellent. We'll vote on it. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item on the agenda is item 7.1. Item 7.1.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Poisson.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 7.1 for a new playground at Nichols School.
Excellent. Motion by Mr. Poisson, Councilor Poisson. Do I have a second to the motion?
Second by Bill O'Brien.
I heard Bill O'Brien first. Sorry, Dave. Discussion, being that Miss Sarah, I know, is on the call and she always patiently waits. Somehow her conversations really at the end all the time. I apologize for that. We're not doing that purposely to you. But if Renee, since you're always patient, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a update on that.
Just that, we look at all the playgrounds throughout the schools, and we selected Nichols because it was one of the older playgrounds that we had put in. So it was due for a newer model with newer safety measures, as well as a better use of the apparatus to accommodate the population in the school, since that school population has increased. This playscape will accommodate that.
Yeah, Renee, it's Chris Pia. Just a question for you. This was budgeted in this current capital budget, correct?
Yes, it is, and you're going to see it in future capital plans, like one a year, so we can continually keep up to date with the playgrounds and the new safer type equipment needed in the playgrounds.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee. Any discussion or questions for Renee on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Poisson, I heard first. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's not really a question, because I've talked about this with Renee before, and I met Chad Esposito there, and we went over the playground and what the new one was going to look like, and it's going to have the pour in place underneath it, the very safe stuff, and a lower fall height. So I'd just like to thank Renee and Chad for including this in the budget and for keeping the playgrounds, keeping them modern.
Thank you, sir.
Also, the pour in place will definitely make maintenance, besides a safety issue, it does make maintenance definitely a lot better and easier. We won't have to do the 5-bar, constantly replenishing it and kind of gathering it back up from the kids, kicking it out. So this is multiple improvements.
Good point. Mr. O'Brien, were you trying to speak before?
Yes, thanks, Chris. Just wanted to point out two things that were discussed at our Parks and Rec meeting. This is about $3,500 under what was budgeted. And also the playground at, I believe it's Columbus and Wood End Road will be done hopefully in the spring.
Excellent. And that was discussed in Parks and Rec meeting?
Yes, it was.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or discussion?
Greg Can.
Yep, go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Chris. I want to thank Bill for pointing out that it was $3,500 under what was in the CIP. That was a very good estimate. And also that the Columbus and Wood End community playground. The school playgrounds definitely get daily use during the school year. There are a number of neighborhood playgrounds that are similar to what's, say, at Nichols, but they're older than what's at Nichols, and they're just as much in need of, quote, modernization and safety. So that, I think it was Renee that pointed out that we're going to make an effort to have annual playground improvements, and we'll get around to all of them eventually. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
Any other, Paul, go ahead, sir. Yeah.
No, I also want to also express my gratitude also for, and just to trail on to the others, as far as I was with Chad and Bill a few months back at the corner of Columbus and Wood End. And yes, again, it's for the communities, for everybody, for the kids. That's a good thing. It looks really good too.
Awesome. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're making our way all around town. Any other further discussion? Awesome. No others. I will call this for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Last item on the agenda is item 7.2.1. It's a confirmation of a mayoral appointment. We do, being that this is a a commission that does receive funds from the town, we do have a vote on it. As you can see, the name was put forth by Mayor Hoydick, so I will entertain that motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Edward Bitsko for the Roosevelt Forest Commission.
Councilor Perillo, do I have a second to that?
Bill O'Brien seconds.
Councilor O'Brien, any discussion on the item? Hearing none, we'll call that for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Ken. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Poisson.
I'll second Laura Dancho.
All right, seconded by Ms. Dancho. And before we say it, before we call the vote, everyone want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. As I always say, happy everything. Enjoy it with your families and safe. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.